Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Entitled Parents subreddit, a place where you can have stories of moms and dads thinking that because they have kids, they are entitled to everything. Now, without further ado, let's get orgasm with rKush. Our first story of today's video was posted by Chocolated Curty with the title, Entitled Mom Wants Me to Pay for Her to Live in My Deluxe Apartment. So I live in an apartment that has 6 floors. Now, originally, the building had 8 apartments on each floor, but 3 years ago, a new owner bought the building. He completely redid the top 3 floors and they were made into the deluxe apartment. Now, by deluxe, I don't mean anything too fancy. It just made the top floor's apartment twice as big. The top floors now have 4 bigger apartments on each floor rather than 8 small ones. Each had 3 bedrooms and 1 bath and comes with its washer and dryer. The other apartment is only 2 bedrooms and 1 bath with no washer or dryer hookup. The 3 bottoms apartment has to use the shared laundry room in the basement. Now, I've moved in with 2 roommates pretty much as soon as they were available, so I've lived here for less than 3 years. My roommate both lost their jobs due to COVID and had to move home, leaving me alone in my apartment, which didn't bother me. I do not pay any more in rent, so I had my own space till landlord finds new roommates. This happened last night when I was coming home from work. I ran into Entitled Mom. Entitled Mom is around a 22-year-old girl with 3 kids who've moved into the building a few months back and, well, she's just not a nice person. She frankly drives everyone nuts. I hadn't had any runs-in with her until last night. As I was waiting for the elevator, Entitled Mom comes up to me and this is how it went. Entitled Mom: "So you live on the 5th floor, right?" Me: yeah." Entitled Mom: "What apartment?" Me: D3. Entitled Mom: "I hear those apartments are really big." Me: yeah, they are good size." Entitled Mom: "They have 3 bedrooms, right?" Me: "Yeah." Entitled Mom: "Must feel big without your roommates." Me: "No, I like being alone." Entitled Mom: "Don't you think it's a little big for you?" Me: "No." Entitled Mom: "My kids would love that apartment." Me: "Well, if you're interested, I think there's one for rent on the 5th floor." Entitled Mom: "Oh, I can't afford that rent." Me: "Oh, I'm sorry." Entitled Mom: "Maybe you could switch us." Me: "Huh?" Entitled Mom: "You could be a nice person and offer to switch apartments. You don't need that much space." Me: "You just said you couldn't afford to pay for a deluxe apartment." Entitled Mom: "I can't. That's why we should switch. That way, I and my kids can have a bigger apartment without paying any more." Then it hit me. She wants me to switch apartment and live in her smaller apartment but keep paying for the deluxe one. Me: "You're joking, right?" This is a joke. Entitled Mom: "I have 3 kids and could use an apartment with more space. You're just one girl and there's plenty of space in ours." Me: "Yeah, I'm not paying for you to live in my apartment." Entitled Mom looks like she wanted to argue, but the elevator came and I got on, and I'm honestly surprised she didn't follow me. How could she even think of that? Asking random people to switch apartment with her. Not to mention that she wanted to switch to a larger apartment without paying any extra rent. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she wanted you to pay for both apartments. Our next story was posted by Lucifer2990, entitled Dad Thinks He Can Ban Me from the Dog Park. It was my day off, so I brought my pup to the park. There was nobody else there, so I was kicking a soccer ball around for her and doing some shuttle runs since I needed to work out too. After we had been there for about 30 minutes, I noticed a family, dad, mom, 2 kids, small dog, standing near the fence looking like they were waiting to go in. I didn't think much of it and kept playing for 10 more minutes. When we were leaving, the dad stopped me at the gate and said, "You shouldn't be here. No aggressive dogs allowed." I was confused because my dog was the only dog in the park, so how could she have been considered aggressive? I was also a little offended because when I first adopted my dog, she was reactive, specifically to bigger dogs that ran up on her very quickly or tried to mount her. But I've been working with a professional trainer as well as my dog sitter who owned big dogs, and she no longer growls or shows teeth when a big dog approaches her. Note: I wasn't taking her to the dog park during her training, and even now I stay close by when a big dog approaches her just in case. I said, "How is my dog being aggressive? She didn't even notice your dog." He responds, "That's a pit bull, right? Pit bulls are an aggressive breed. I'm sick of constantly seeing pit bull owners who think they own the park." Now, there are a lot of pit bull mixes at the park, especially during busy times like after work, but I've never seen anyone acting like they own the park, as he describes it. I said, the sign doesn't say no aggressive breeds, it says dogs demonstrating aggressive behavior must be leashed and removed immediately. My dog wasn't acting aggressive, so there isn't a problem. He threatens to call the city and have me banned permanently from the dog park. I said, you don't know my name? What are you going to say? There was a pit bull and an owner alone at the dog park? Good luck with that. He kept trying to talk to me, but I just ignored him and walked home. Hope he and his family enjoyed the dog park. What a moron. Officers, I'm calling to report a person at the dog park with a dog. It's urgent. Wondering how the police would respond to that. The next story. Entitled kid killed my pet and somehow I'm the bad guy. Posted by usual candidate 8201. Relevant people. I'm sorry, but acronyms just confuse me. Karen, entitled mom. Calvin, entitled son. 11. Me, 18. Bronte, my pet spider. 6. My dad loves spiders, so I grew up with lots of them and know how to care for them. When I moved out a couple of months ago, he gave me the Goliath bird eater he'd had for a couple of years. Bronte. Goliath bird eaters are one of the largest spiders in the world, largest by mass and second largest by leg span, and they are not beginner pets. They're expensive and can be hard to care for. I loved Bronte, and I know most people say spiders aren't capable of love, but she recognized me and I like to think she loved me back in her way. I took excellent care of her and I talked to her. So, a few days ago, my roommate's aunt, Karen, came over with her son, Calvin. Karen seemed perfectly nice at first, asking me what I'm studying, what I want to do, chatting with my roommate about family gossip. Kevin, on the other hand, threw himself on the couch and kept whining that he was bored and wanted to go home. Karen excused his behavior, saying he was just tired after school. I told him he could watch Netflix if he wanted, and he agreed. He stayed in the living room while the rest of us went to the kitchen. About a half hour later, I went to the bathroom and noticed he wasn't in the living room. The only other place he could be was one of our bedrooms, so I checked my roommate's first. He wasn't there, but some things were messed up and we're both very neat, so I knew he must have gone through her stuff. I went into my room and found him looking through my bedside table. But more importantly, Bronte was crushed on the floor. I immediately started screaming at him, slightly incoherently, went over and grabbed him by the shoulders, demanding to know what happened to my spider. He started yelling for his mom and trying to get away from me. Quick interruption. I know I shouldn't have grabbed him, but I was completely panicked and not thinking straight. Karen and my roommate ran in and she yelled at me to let go of her child. My roommate noticed Bronte and gently pulled me away, and we all went to the living room, me still sobbing. Once I was able to talk again, I demanded to know what he did to Bronte, and Calvin very boldly said, "It was creepy as hell and it got mad when I picked it up, so I killed it. It's just a bug." I started screaming at him again, calling him a monster and a horrible brat, and Karen starts yelling over me not to talk to him like that. And it was all just chaos until my roommate yelled, "Shut up!" louder than both of us. She told us to calm down and Karen says, quieter, that I'm bullying her son and overreacting. I said, still yelling, that Bronte was my pet and I adored her, and that he killed her for no reason. She was in her terrarium, not bothering him until he took her out, without knowing how to handle her, and terrified her. I also started rambling about how she could have lived up to 25 years, but my roommate cut me off at that point. Karen kept insisting that she was just a spider and that Kevin did nothing wrong. At that point, I told them to get out or I start throwing things. They left. And apparently, Karen's been texting my roommate to say she should move out of the crazy house. We gave Bronte a little funeral in the woods. I'm still really broken up about this. Guys, this is so sad and made me so mad to read. I'm so sorry you lost your pet in such a senseless way. This kid is the worst, and so is his mom. Moving on to the next story. Entitled sister let kids throw tantrum, then she harasses me with phone calls to get better present because kids are so disappointed and upset. I'm a 23-year-old female with 2 young nephews. I enjoy reading. I have a home office/library that has half the room as bookshelves filled with books of all kinds, from school textbook and research books to fantasy and children books. I admit I'm a bookworm. Anyway, my nephew have started reading a lot more, so I decided to buy them some of my favorite books to read as a child. Books like The Magic Tree House, Geronimo Stilton, and The Enchanted Castle, etc. When I went over to give them the books, my nephews looked at them for a few minutes, then threw them down on the ground. We were outside on the back porch. My nephews started asking what else I brought for them and why I gave them smelly, boring old books. The books were brand new, still had the stickers on and everything. I thought maybe they were just being kids because they are kids. But when I explained I just brought the books for them, they threw a huge tantrum. They were screaming and crying about why I didn't buy them video games and toys, instead just gave them stupid books. They started stomping all over the books on the ground. The mother, my sister, did not stop them. She scolded me for not getting them something they wanted like video games. I started arguing with her that she told me that they loved books and they wanted to read more, so that's why I got them the books. I thought they would enjoy these books as I did as a child. My sister screamed at me about being self-absorbed and how not everyone loved book as I did. But she was the one who told me that my nephews loved book as I did, repeatedly. I knew I was getting nowhere with this argument and my nephew screaming in the background, so I picked up all the books off the ground and left to go back home. Within the next few days, my sister repeatedly called to berate me and yell at me for not getting them something else. Then after a week, my sister called to ask if I was getting my nephew anything better because they were so disappointed and upset. I told her no. She yelled at me some more. Before she hung up, she asked when I was going to bring over the books again or if she needed to come to get them. I told her no and that I was keeping them because she and my nephews were being ungrateful and entitled. I told her that she should teach her kids better, not to be spoiled brats, and to be appreciative of any gift that someone gives them, regardless of if they liked it or not. As I said, I enjoyed these books as a child and would love to reread them as much as I can. So I decided to keep them for myself because my nephews didn't want them to begin with and were being entitled brats. Edit. My sister had raised my nephews to be spoiled rotten. If they don't get their way, they will be little monsters to you or others, and my sister encourages their selfishness and bad behavior. One of the reasons I'm in low contact with her right now. For the people that are asking for my nephew's ages, one is 7 years old and the other is 2 years old. I mostly got the books for the 7 years, but thought maybe he or my sister could read them to the 2-year-old, like bonding time or something. And yes, both play video games. My sister buys each a small handheld kid iPad or whatever it is called, I'm not sure. I didn't even know that such a thing existed until my nephews were a little over 1 year old. They both were taught how to use them as well as YouTube, kids TV channels and Game Boy. I've ranted out about young kids using technology in another sub before. When I was a kid, we played outside. My 7-year-old nephew knew how to use basic internet/computer at the age of 2. Now my 2-year-old nephew does as well. I believe today's parents rely way too heavily on technology to entertain/keep their kids busy. But that's just my opinion based on my experiences with my nephews. Alright, I gotta say, your sister and her spawn are entitled brats. There are groups out there that would love new books for kids. I would not ever buy them or your sister any other gift. Give whatever amount you usually spend on gifts to them and donate that money to a charity group in their names. Then give them the thank you note the charity sends out. Maybe the sister and the nephews will learn gratitude. Maybe not. Now moving on to the last story of the day with the title, My Entitled Future Neighbors, posted by S_00000001. The cast. Entitled mother, the buyer. Nice neighbor, the seller. My neighbor was selling her house and moving, and so she had some potential buyers over to look at the house, as you would. Being in an area with multiple schools, making the house in the perfect location for those looking for a good school for their children. The estate agent arranged for a parent to come around to evaluate the house to see if they wanted to buy the house, and that in and of itself wasn't a problem. She was still looking for a buyer. They looked around for a while and asked some questions. Not uncommon, but not for 2 hours. I mean, come on, lady. Either way, the house is quite nice with a workshop, etc. But some things were not to their liking. Entitled mom, is there not underfloor heating in the workshop? Nice neighbor, no, we didn't need it. Entitled mom, so I'm going to have to buy an oil heater? Nice neighbor, well, I didn't need heating. Entitled mom, well, or something like this. Entitled mom, why are there not fairy lights or floodlights at the back of the house? Nice neighbor, because I'm not spending money on something that I don't need. Entitled mom, but the other houses have them. Nice neighbor, only next door and they only put them up last night. Entitled mom, so why don't you have them? For one, I'm shocked that they somehow knew about the lights as they are only visible from the access road out the back or from somebody's garden. So either they were sneaking around some back alley or they randomly asked to come into someone's home to check out the house from different angles. Either way, I find that downright creepy. Some of the things were dumb though. Entitled mom, I hear that there is a really good school around here called insert school name here. Nice neighbor. Yeah, supposedly it is quite good, but you have to be a Catholic to get in. Entitled mom, oh, I'm sure that doesn't matter. After all, I'm not paying for a private school. Nice neighbor. No, you do need to be religious. They did end up making an offer on the house, but I hope I don't have neighbors like that. From all this, it just seemed like she was just trying to bully my neighbor into spending more money, not changing the house price, but expecting the changes to be done on the house they were trying to buy. Actually, some of the stuff in the story is quite normal when buying a house. You're trying to get the seller to knock a few grand off the price by asking them to make renovations that you know they won't do. Sneaking around a back alley is a little much. You don't say whether it's a public space or not, but it's not unheard of. Checking out the area at night is very smart as well, as some neighborhoods could change radically after dark. So I think the woman in the story was just doing whatever normal buyers would do. And that brings me to the end of our video today. Thank you for listening. Hope you reach your eargasm with rKush. Good day, everyone.